Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast, Season 3, Episode 59. So in the last episode, I talked about why the podcast has been shifting and changing and different things happening. And I reviewed Season 1, Episode 1 of Friends, and I mentioned that in this episode, I'd be reviewing Season 1, Episode 1 of The Big Bang Theory. And in just a little extra bit, which I didn't mention in yesterday's or the last episode, depending upon when they release, is that you don't, obviously I'd love for you to watch every single episode, but you might not want to watch every single show I'm talking about, and that's absolutely fine, which is why I've gone with this model, not let's do all of Neighbours, let's do all of Doctor Who, and yeah, because I've had loads of suggestions, and as I mentioned in the last episode, those reviews are coming, but because it's a movie in comparison, like an over 90-minute, an hour and a half movie, in comparison to a 20 to 22, not max of 25-minute episode, then that's why they're taking. So without further ado, let's get to my review of The Big Bang Theory, Season 1, Episode 1, Sheldon Cooper. Sheldon Cooper suggests a theory to Leonard Hofstadter. Leonard helps a receptionist complete their crossword. The receptionist hands forms to Sheldon and Leonard for them to complete. Sheldon and Leonard leave the room. Sheldon and Leonard notice their new neighbour Penny. Penny introduces herself to Sheldon and Leonard. Leonard and Sheldon introduce themselves to Penny. Sheldon starts to hyperventilate. Let's try that sentence again. Sheldon starts to hyperventilate when Leonard proposes that they have a conversation with Penny. We then have the title sequence. Penny is amazed at Sheldon and Leonard's equations. Sheldon and Leonard insult each other's work. Sheldon tells Penny about his spot. Leonard convinces Sheldon to sit elsewhere. Penny tells Sheldon and Leonard about her life. Sheldon insults astrology and star signs. Sheldon informs Penny that Leonard is lactose intolerant. Penny cries in front of Leonard and Sheldon. Sheldon returns to his spot. Howard Wolowitz and Rajesh Kuchipalli enter Sheldon and Leonard's apartment. Penny introduces herself to Howard and Raj. Howard introduces himself to Penny. Penny asks Leonard and Sheldon to pick up TV from her ex-boyfriend's house. Howard informs Penny that Raj is unable to speak to women. Sheldon and Leonard speak to Penny's ex-boyfriend. Leonard and Sheldon are unsuccessful in obtaining Penny's TV. Leonard apologises to Sheldon and Penny hugs Sheldon and Leonard. That's it for my review of episodes. Let's try that sentence again. That's it for my review of Season 1, Episode 1 of The Big Bang Theory. So what did I think of the episode? Well, similar to what I was speaking about Friends yesterday, started watching it during lockdown because I didn't have anything better to do. So yeah, that's when I first watched it, and sciencey, mathsy stuff. I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, that I want to be a primary school teacher, so obviously science, maths I will have to teach in some form at some point. Definitely not to the extent that Sheldon and Leonard are doing it with, like, what I don't even understand half of the stuff, and I've watched that episode a couple of times. I quite identify with it as well, which is kind of what you want from TV programmes in general, that you want someone to identify with. Same with diversity as well, and disabilities, and race and religion and that's kind of what it should be. It should be, especially like Neighbours, for example. I'm going to use as the example. Yes, it's Australian, so it's not going to quite fit, but it's reality. Like, there are people like that in all our lives. So yeah. So, and as I also mentioned in yesterday's or the last episode, earlier on, the last episode, we'll just go with the last episode. What was I going to say? I've forgotten now. Oh yes. It's all about a bit for everyone else. Like, I've got loads of review suggestions, and it's going to take me quite a bit to get to them and Neighbours and everything. But hopefully, there will be something for you. You may not want anything. Maybe I haven't talked about it yet, and that's kind of what the idea of the review suggestions is. So actually, on my list, I explained this yesterday. I had a list. And I had a Neighbours section, a Doctor Who section, Marvel section, DC section, and then what else did I have? I had 2 Marvel sections, one about Echo and one about the new Marvels film. What else do we have? Like the Traitors as well, which will include the UK, Australia, US, United States and New Zealand versions of that, and there's probably others. Like, that's kind of the point. It's trying to get the everything back into the podcast, because as I mentioned, it wasn't quite, and obviously I won't be able to cover every single thing because there is not so much time in a day, as I've got uni and working, and so yeah, that's a bit for my tangent. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode. If you watched it, my review. If you didn't, and remember, as always, review suggestions are welcome. You can do any of those or all of those 3 things in the comments below. Remember, you can also like and subscribe. And that's it for the Everything Podcast, Season 3, Episode 59. Goodbye.